Hey guys, it's Mike James here. I'm the founder of the SupremeMan.com. Welcome to this free video tutorial. I was asked by a Facebook fan to help with him with regards some issues he was having with his ex-girlfriend. He wanted to get her back, and although I've dropped him some individual advice, I also said I'd put together an article for the blog, and I've decided to do it in video format. So all you've got to do now is sit back, watch the video, follow these actions. Obviously, if you've got some questions, then comment on this article, and take a pledge that you'll take action and actually do the things that are being said. It's difficult in a scenario when you want your ex back to actually stop your emotions from making decisions for you. You need to be pretty rational in this situation if you're going to have any chance of winning her back. So anyway, best bit about all of this, aside from being pretty powerful, is that you can do all of it without any gaming or faking, without your partner or your ex wanting you back, and certainly they won't know exactly what you're doing because you're just following a natural process. So in this tutorial we'll be taking you through the two key ways relationships fail. It doesn't cover everything, but I think it covers probably a good 80% of the situations out there. I shall explain and show you the model or process of attraction, and then take you through a number of steps to take you from where you are now to hopefully putting you in a position where you are moving back towards getting in a relationship. It's really important within all of this to say that nothing's guaranteed. I mean, there may be a whole host of other influences and actions and her feelings which may not guarantee that you will get her back, but this is the best chance that you have. So what brings you here? Well, your relationship is obviously broken down or is breaking down. Either you or your partner wants to end the relationship. If you want to end the relationship, then I have to question why you're actually watching this. No doubt in the situation is that your partner is wanting to end this relationship. You and her may well have been on the rocks for a while, perpetually on and off with emotional roller coaster. Maybe you've lied or cheated on your partner and they want out. Perhaps they just no longer feel attracted to you and are leaving as a consequence. Maybe they've cheated on you and you're thinking of ending it as a consequence, but the reality of the situation is they're the one that's effectively ending it by making that decision to cheat, even though they may be apologising and wanting to keep you. Or ultimately your partner may have left you for someone else, and that's a pretty tricky situation. Doesn't mean that this doesn't work. It just if they're with someone else, it can actually reduce the success levels of this particular method. However, there are other scenarios where this may help but isn't directly tailored to, and that's relationships where both of you are naturally kind of pulled apart. The relationship, the strength of attraction is fading, but for some reason you've decided you want to reinvigorate that spark that you once had. And the techniques here are applicable, although if you're still in a relationship, then I think you can probably use your common sense to tailor these techniques, but certainly the breaking contact aspect, which I'll bring up later on, is probably less key, although you probably need to work on the other attraction aspects. So two fundamental reasons why we end a relationship. These are pretty primal, evolutionary instincts. She feels at significant risk of being abandoned or hurt by you, is the first one. This is where she feels that you are actually a threat to her and any potential offspring. A threat in the fact that you won't be there as opposed to physically hurt or damage her, but the fact that she may well partner with you and have offspring, and that the threat is that you just won't be there to support that family unit. The second aspect is, or the second reason rather, is that she feels that you're too weak to do that. So you may stay with her, but if she is threatened or the family unit's threatened from outside, fight flight situation, by a more alpha male perhaps, then she feels you're too weak to properly protect her against any threats. Now, in modern society, women translate that into a whole host of things. It all happens subconsciously, but in this case, it's not a question of fighting off, dangerous animals, as it might have been in caveman times, but a question of, how can you properly protect her and any potential offspring in the modern day and age. Now, she may not say this directly, but if your relationship is breaking down or already broken down, it's likely that your actions have led her to believe one of those two things about you. And as I've said, these are pretty primal evolutionary instincts. Fight, fight, and fornicate, three of them. And she won't be entirely aware of them consciously. She just knows that she's driven to do them. So how did you get here? Well, situation one, I can just summarise this. This is the kind of situation where you're perhaps too nasty or just not around, not supportive enough. You're not meeting her requirements to be her man from a perspective of providing her with the right attention. You're not giving her enough. You maybe done something significant to make her feel threatened. Maybe you've cheated. Perhaps you've done something less significant but just repeated it many times, so she now feels very let down and disappointed with you. So this is the too nasty scenario. That's just a simple label. It's not reflective of all situations, but certainly that's an easy way to remember it. Situation two, this is where you've demonstrated too much weakness. Perhaps you've allowed her to step over your boundaries and not push back against her tests and challenges. And they will always do this, even obviously more strongly before you get into a relationship, but certainly when you're in a relationship, if you aren't meeting a minimum level of strength, then she will start to increase her tests and challenges to check that you will continue to be there for her or provide for her in a sufficient fashion. So if you're wavering perhaps when she questions your own sense of purpose or she's challenging you, or maybe you've picked up a bad habit, drinking, gambling or something like that. In simplicity's term, I call this a too nice situation. It's effectively where you've demonstrated weakness. So the process of attraction. Now you can probably see the previous two elements here where at the point where in the orange circle she perceives value. But let me just draw your attention to the series of X's or crosses. This is what, in this model I am calling her perceptive filters. If you've been in a relationship with her for a period of time, and I don't just mean a short-term 6 to 8 week, 3-month relationship. I mean, a proper, 9 month, a year as a minimum is what I would consider a proper relationship. She will have formed perceptive filters of you. Based upon your appearance, your behaviour, your vibe, and all of those are obviously affected by your internal mindset. And her perceptive filters will translate those into the things which are really important to her, the primal instincts, which I've mentioned before, things like attraction and lust. There's also the match to her internal values, and obviously social status. Now, social status is less important if you can fire off the primal triggers and some of that, meet some of those values. However, it will become more important if you're not triggering all of those values and primal instincts in her. So, as you can see, if those perceptive filters are established over a period of time, then you need to change those. And changing those is not easy because even if you change your appearance, your behaviour, and your vibe, if you're continually in her presence, her perceptive filters will continually be triggered in the fashion they always have done in that pattern of behaviour. So the first step in repairing the relationship or repairing the scenario is to break the pattern. There are two possibilities to this depending on how your relationship has panned out. If you have reasons which mean that you cannot entirely break contact, then there's a little bit more challenging. But my recommendation is to break contact entirely for a period. What I mean by this is do not contact her. If she contacts you, you're polite, you're respectful, and if she answers specific questions, then a short, clean, polite answer. You do not want to establish extensive conversations. You certainly do not want to ask her questions. You have to show that any level of reaching or neediness to her are gone entirely, and you avoid contacting her as much as possible. Now, after a period, she'll pick up on this, and she will probably start to go quiet. But that's fine. That's what you want. You want a period where you guys are not in contact, or the contact is absolutely minimal. If your circumstances mean that you have to have contact, then you need to limit that to the bare minimum. This could be where you've got children, or perhaps you're still living in the same property. You need to try and minimise that time together to the fullest extent that you've almost broken contact. And you need to use this time, and I'll explain the kind of time periods in a moment, but you need to use this time to focus on self-repair. First step is to get your emotional stability and levels of rationality back to a point where you can make proper, sensible decisions, where your emotions aren't getting in the way, especially when it comes to her. You need to refocus back on yourself, on your core values. These are the things that are important to you, whether these are sports or hobbies or things you like to do, your friends, your family, whatever they are, sit down, write them down, and do them, realizing that you're 100% responsible for your own happiness. Next step is the process of change. So having broken that state, or broken contact with her, now you're focusing on yourself. You can start to look at what you've not been doing, which may well have contributed to the breakdown, and also to your own personal behaviours and how you've impacted on the relationship. So first off, once your emotions are more settled, then you need to look to make some changes. Identify what you've stopped doing that you enjoy. So if there were things you were doing before you met her that you stopped doing, well, clearly they were things that she probably found attractive, and then you stopped doing them. So why? So start doing those things again, which means something to you, that you enjoy, which are important to you. And then at the same time, and this is important, your emotions are settled, that start to look quite rationally at what you might have done to contribute to the breakdown. Make a note of the things that she said to you, and then look beneath the surface. So if she used to nag you a lot about certain things, it's not so much what she was nagging you about, it was what you weren't doing which was causing her to nag you. So if she was, you weren't doing the housework or something like that, and frequently she would ask you to do it and you wouldn't do it, it wasn't the fact that you weren't doing the housework, it was the fact that you weren't doing what she had asked you to do and when you had promised to do it. So she felt that on a subconscious level, perhaps, which is an example, that if you weren't doing what you promised to do, then how could she trust you on a deeper level for other things that you had promised to do? Now, on a man's perspective, not doing the housework just because you promised to do it isn't really all that important, and we often find it difficult to understand why women find that so important. But it's part of that overall family unit, the primal instincts that she has. So once you've identified what you've stopped doing, what you might have done to contribute to this breakdown of that relationship, just create a written plan and keep them fairly generic. Don't make them relationship focused. Make them just on things that you can do, your behaviours that you can change. Okay, perhaps lose some weight, take up in your hobby and sport, maybe set yourself a new different challenge. If perhaps you were bad at doing, I use the example of housework, when you're in a relationship, then maybe, now you're in your own place, make a focus on becoming organised and, motivated in that regard, and make a real effort to do your own housework in your own place, and build some discipline around that. And then finally, really important, you need to accept that what you had is over permanently. Okay, one way I think is important to frame this is that you're moving forward, and if she comes back into your future and chooses to do that and likes what she sees you as the new guy you're becoming, then that's great. But what you've had in the past is gone, done, dusted. Now, I do have some techniques which can help you get over that emotionally, and I would suggest that if you want to pick up on those, I've got a free webinar coming up shortly. Keep your eye on thesuprememan.com, and I think I'm probably linked to it underneath this video. So that'll teach you how to deal with that, how to relinquish the attachment you have to that relationship more quickly and more permanently. And the other thing is acceptance as well. You both made mistakes, and you're human. Don't beat yourself up too much. It's not a good thing to do. Okay, step 3 is regaining the attraction. Now, it's really important to spend quite a significant time on step 2. So as I say here, make contact. You really need to be doing this over an extended period. Depending on how severe and how traumatic the breakup was, that needs to be at very least 3 months. If you were together maybe a year or two, 3 months is possible. Well, that's pretty early. I mean, you probably want to be looking to leave it 4, 5, 6 months. Okay. But you certainly need at least 3 months where there has been, near as damn it, zero contact. And the other thing as well is in this period, make sure anything like Facebook, unfriend her from Facebook. If she asks you, just say you think it's a good idea. It's not that you don't consider her a friend. It's just that you think it's important for both of you to move forwards. And any means by which you can stumble upon her electronically, you need to stop that. So send her emails. Well, if she does tend to email you a lot, then I would put her emails into a specific folder, filter them and don't look at it. Just do everything you can to prevent unintended contact or unintended scenarios where you may see details about her, because that will help you recover. So, if she knows she goes to a particular coffee shop on a regular basis, don't go anywhere near it. Just stay well clear of where she circulates. So after a period when you are pretty certain that you are fully over the scenario, that you've accepted that she will be moving on and you're moving on, then you really just want to make contact. A very simple thing, by phone, and purely your outcome should be entirely just to see how she is, and see if she responds to you differently. So pick up the phone, give her a call. I just wanted to say hi, catch up briefly. How you doing? And after maybe a minute or two of quick chat, you should, if you've done everything correctly, you will notice a state change in her. She may stop like mid-sentence, and you'll kind of sense there's a change, positive. You should probably expect her to be initially a little bit defensive. But if you notice that there's a positive state change at some point in that conversation, then you've done well. So when you notice that clear state change, and she appears increasingly open to talk to you, then perhaps if you think it's going well, then suggest a coffee meet. And don't spend too long on the phone. You really only want this to be a 2 or 3 minute conversation max. Suggest you meet up for coffee in a couple of weeks' time, and it'll give her a shout nearer the time. If she rejects it, and then she gets defensive again with you, then she's not ready, and then you should probably break contact again for another couple of 3 months. So, and before I carry on, it may be that she'll never be ready. She may have some pretty set issues there, and she may well not. But I would be surprised if you guys have had a good relationship up until a point, and you had a strong bond, and you were very much in love. Then the chances are that she will eventually she'll come around. So when you do get to meet up with her, you need to approach her. It's really important that you have to approach her as if she's an entirely new girl. The only difference here is that you would have to make her feel comfortable, get those feelings of easiness, feelings of comfort much higher than you would normally get them with a new girl. The reason being is she'll still have those defences, and you need to make her feel comfortable and easy with you for longer before you can start accelerating the other states of attraction and through interest, intrigue, connection and flirtation, etc. But obviously the process once you've done that is the same as any standard attraction and seduction process. You have to pretend like she's an entirely new girl, be confident, flirt, and move forward in that way. And I've got other products, as you know, at thesuprememan.com, which can help you with that. You may well ask about your changes. You may well appear to her to be somewhat different. You might have lost some weight. You might have changed your look, your haircut, what have you. Then just say to her, look, I've made some changes. That's great. You need to demonstrate them through your actions. So it's very important that you spend a good period making those changes. So don't verbalise it unless she asks and she mentions it. Then acknowledge it, but don't make a big deal about it. You want to keep a little bit of intrigue and mystery around these changes. Maybe kind of drop out. We talked about this once. I did that. So a sense of kind of, maybe you both said you were going to go salsa dancing or something at some point, and you never got round to it. You always knew you wanted to do it. Then just say you did it. You decided that you were going to do it. And then finally, after a period of contact, once you've met her the first time, then you just need to treat her like a new girl. So keep it fairly easy. Don't push things. Let things move forward naturally. Remember that she's effectively a new girl now, so you need to treat her much the same way. She's going to be slightly wary, so you need to do everything you can, which you would do with a new girl that was maybe perhaps quite difficult to catch. So you need to keep a great degree of balance in your communication. You need to not chase her. Retain your confidence. Remember what she was attracted to originally, and do not refer to the past unless she brings it up. Now, if in the situation the relationship broke down because you cheated on her and you didn't provide her what she needed in that relationship, then you need to demonstrate and acknowledge that in this new relationship that you are able to do that. Now, you don't need to do that again. You don't verbalise that, but when she will test you with regarding that, and you need to make sure that you behave differently. Okay, so if you weren't providing her with any form of affirmation, or you didn't provide any levels of attention to her, then you need to show that you can do that now. But whilst you do that, it's really important that it isn't such a significant change that isn't believable. One of the greatest mistakes guys make when they get back with their partner is they're so keen to keep her that they go from perhaps not having provided her with that support to all of a sudden they stick her on a pedestal, roll out the red carpet, spend a fortune on big, expensive, attention providing weekends away, and all of a sudden she's gone from not getting anything to having the whole world. And that just basically shows her that you are over supplicating, and it depends on the situation. But it's important to make the change, but to keep some balance. So if you cheated on her, it's important to be seen not looking at women, and to be providing affirmation, support, and showing that you're attracted to her. But don't do it to the extent that you're not a guy. You need to make sure you've got that right balance between the two. I mentioned not referring to the past unless she brings it up. Obviously, if you've done something to hurt her and she brings it up, then obviously you need to demonstrate through your actions, as I've said. Obviously, if she talks about the good stuff, then that's great. And maybe ask her what was good about it for her to get her really remembering your qualities. Certainly, I would say it's much better to focus on the memories, the good memories from earlier on in your relationship, when there's a lower risk of it triggering any bad thoughts. Perhaps if later on in the relationship when you were on the rocks, or slightly before that when she had doubts, you had some good times, that's great, but it's more likely to trigger some related bad thoughts. If she brings up bad stuff you've done, perhaps acknowledge it if it was a specific action which was a relationship breaker, as I've said, like cheating. But fundamentally, you want to change the conversation. You want to deal with it and then change the conversation. If she brings it up a lot, just change the conversation or gesture away. If it becomes a problem, then she's probably not ready. But certainly you maybe need to address it by saying, look, if we're going to spend some time together, whatever that might mean, it's probably not a good idea we bring up, the past, and we should just get to know each other as we are now. You certainly need to show that you can acknowledge her concerns, but you don't want to pay or spend too much time focusing on the bad stuff. You want to make her feel good. So once the attraction is regained, you will be in a position where she's much more likely to sleep with you, and she's much more likely to sleep with you quickly than if she was a brand new girl. Because you've already had that physical relationship, once she's gone past a point of no return, she will do that more quickly than if it was a new girl. And obviously, the sooner you do sleep together, then the more likely you'll be able to transition to a relationship again. Okay, so guys, I hope this has been useful. It gets you to a point. From there on, it's the same as any other situation, and you just need to focus on moving forward at all times. In summary, what can you do next? How can you maintain that attraction? Well, now you know how to get her back, and how to fix yourself to move forward. You're probably ready now to progress on to, obviously, first off, apply what you've learned, focusing on yourself 100%. But you can increase your chances going forward and improving that relationship by actually developing your attraction and seduction skills. These skills aren't just suited to guys that are single, but they're also suited to guys in relationships. If you can make your partner feel amazing and you can develop that and continue to build on that attraction, then you can get a very, very strong and powerful relationship. So if you want to learn the details of how to get a powerful attraction mindset, then I suggest you click the link below, find out more at www.thesuprememan.com. Thanks for watching.